welcome back to work. This is the unsolicited advice segment of work. This is where we tackle unsolicited questions and I give you my good or bad or indifferent opinion on those questions. This one I have a lot of opinion about. So the question is, what is the most underrated leadership skill today? I think about this all the time. I talk about it all the time. I literally was on the phone with my husband this morning saying, it's just crazy that people don't want to lead. And I really believe that. I think there's a dearth of leadership at work. I think you could argue there's like a changing leadership or dearth of leadership in this country, in the world. It's a really funny time for leadership. And I think people are feeling that. I think people feel more reticent to lead. I think people are more insecure about how to lead. I think people are more selfish than they used to be. There's more options in your world that speak just to you or satiate just you or serve just you. And to me, the most underrated skill in leadership is obviously serving other people and wanting to do something that is beyond yourself and is for a greater good that is above yourself. And I think one of the things that's happening at work is that people are not taking that extra step to listen to other people, to actually hear what's happening, see what's happening, observe what's happening, listen to what's happening. I think I always said this. I said this when I came into Food 52, and it was certainly true when I went into Barstool, was that the answers are always in the building. And if you just take the time to listen to what people are saying, hear and see and watch and observe and feel what they're feeling, you can then create something that solves a problem, sets a future. And if you're a really good communicator, you can get people to follow you in that vision and on that quest. So I think the most underrated skills are actually very human skills, and they're very simple skills, which is to, one, have the worldview that you want to serve other people and you want to make something bigger than yourself or someone else happen. The second piece is being patient enough or being deliberate enough to listen and find the answers. That can be painstaking. It's selfless. It's meaning listening to other people complain all the time. I think one of the biggest realizations when you get into a leadership position is how much people complain to you. Like, you become the receptacle for complaint. But there's a lot of data in complaints. There's a lot of insight in complaints. There's a lot of opportunity with complaints. And then the last piece of it is being clear, being deliberate, being consistent, being careful in a way around how you communicate with other people to enable them to feel bought into something, empowered by something, enriched by something, motivated by something, like they're fulfilled by something, like they're accomplishing something in something. And I think it's those skills that make great leaders. I think those skills make great teams that can communicate with one another, teams that have an aligned vision with one another, teams that are unified with one another tend to be teams where people listen to one another, they respect one another, they hear one another, and they motivate one another. And leadership is really just harnessing a team. And I think if more people could, one, look out and beyond themselves and above themselves and through themselves and past themselves. And then two, if people took more time to communicate, it would instantly create more leadership. And it's funny, I live this here a little bit where I'm always like, hey, if something great happens or there's some huge problem, just email the company. And email the company and see what people have to say, or just share what we're going through. And I end up spending all my time nagging people to email the company. And I'm still today the only person that emails the company I work at. And I'm like, that's silly. And I even forget to do it. So I'm not above that myself. I also fuck up at that and am insufficient in that and probably sporadic and annoying in that. But I think when you think about leadership, people trust and want to follow people they believe in and people who they can feel trust with or feel certainty from, and people who they believe are going in the right direction. And in order to make people feel like you're going in the right direction and that you are trustworthy and that you are worthy of the like or the follow or the subscribe, that you have to, 1, hear what people want, 2, you need to deliver it to them, and 3, you need to chart a course that is attractive enough and motivating enough and fulfilling enough for someone to follow. I get asked a lot, how do you lead at different levels or different types of companies or different types of jobs? And the reality is like leadership looks all the same and it also looks totally different. So if you're an analyst, or, I had a meeting with Jack, the finance guy today, and Jack is putting together a 2026 model, and he's like kind of nervous and he's working really hard at it. And what leadership was today in this meeting in the moment is Jack is an FP&A, so he's a finance guy. Jack saying, hey, everybody needs to come together and we need to look at this one thing and we need to discuss what this one thing shows. And so leadership was initiative. It was creating the forum to show other people something and hear from them. It was, in his case, highlighting problems or gaps. In this case, it was interesting. He was highlighting that our investor wants a certain number from us for next year, and which is fine. Investors want certain numbers from people all the time. But he was like, well, I'm just trying to build to the number the investor wants. And my point was like, well, why don't we build a number that we think is real for next year and that we want to sign up for? And then we can have a discussion with the investor about, does this match their number and why or why not, and what would have to happen for that to be true. But Jack did all the right things in today's case, where he clearly listened to all his constituents, right? He shared something of value and worth. He was open about, hey, here's the gaps. Here's what, he's vulnerable. He's like, I don't know. They said they want this. Should I give this to them? So like giving voice to things that people already know and nobody's saying, I think is a sneaky fast way to become a leader. And then the last piece is that he over communicated in this process and now is clear and motivated and running, and he has people who are motivated. I'm motivated to help Jack coming out of that meeting because I know what Jack is trying to do. I agree with where he's going. I believe. I want to be supportive of him. He's shown quality work. And I think that's a great example where it doesn't matter if you're a waitress or a salesperson or an executive or an analyst or a finance guy or producer. I think it's really like creating the forum, listening to all the voices and actually hearing what people have to say. I think you'd be shocked at how often people listen but don't hear. So like really hearing what people have to say, not feeling how you feel about what someone said, but actually hearing what was said in the first place. And then, not being afraid of the uncomfortable questions, I think is also a big part of it. And then charting a course with clear communication. So I think that's a good example of like, you can be in any room, in any forum, take any opportunity, and you can be a leader by showing up, by listening, by communicating, by giving voice to things that are fairly obvious, but nobody is saying. And by having clarity and determination and direction of where you want to go. Now work. All right, so that's Unsolicited Advice. Thank you for listening to the Work Podcast. You can follow me at Erika on Instagram or at Erika_ everywhere else. You can also follow the Work Pod, and we would be so grateful if you subscribe, rate, and review, or send us an unsolicited advice question of your own.